Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now let's talk concussions, heavyweight style. Y'all know what time it is. The ultimate concussion has to be Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Well, you already know by now, Wilder takes Tyrell Herndon down in 6 rounds. Right? Just a normal kind of performance when you come back. It wasn't nothing really awesome there. It just what I saw pretty good from Deontay Wilder was he just was patient. Using his jab, which a lot of people say, they call him Deontay Wilder the one-trick pony, right? Because people, well, we'll get to it. Wilder divides a lot of people a lot of times, and they just fail to realize that he's not really a one-trick pony. Just the trick he has is pretty big trick with that right hand. But, I always would ask, well, could a one-trick pony jab your boy Chris Arreola into submission because his other hand wasn't working? And he was able to jab a Chris Arreola, a robust guy like that, into submission with one hand. That can't happen with a one-trick pony. But, I'm a Deontay Wilder fan, so I could see that kind of thing. So he just jabbed my man Herndon the whole fight. He didn't throw his right hand that much. When he threw it, he was missing it. He landed a couple, and it just seemed like after about round 4 or 5, the Herndon wasn't really trying to win anymore, really. And I just looked to me like he was like, you know what, but before I get hit with something ridiculous, let me just figure out a way up out of here. And I think the referee just helped him out in round 6. It could have went on until somebody gets splattered on the ground. It just didn't. They just said, you could kind of see that, Herndon wasn't trying to win no more. So they stopped it. You could consider, if you're not a Wilder fan, an early stoppage. But then if you're family of Herndon, you're going to be happy that they just stopped it there because it wasn't going to be nothing coming back, So that's how that goes. So, the A side moves on to bigger and better things. If Deontay Wilder and his fans, it's like, hey, good you're back. See how your right hand feels and your shoulder and all that. See how that feels after hitting somebody on the head. How are you recovering? How's you feel? Are you ready to go do something else? Now, Deontay Wilder is the kind of guy where, either you like him or you loathe him. It's like, you're never indifferent, right? He lives in New Russia, which means he's not loved anywhere except for Alabama, right? So that's how that works, but that's all brother black fighters. And he's probably more loved in England, right? Now, you would think, well, England don't really like him. Yeah, there's a lot because of the Anthony Joshua thing. Him and Anthony Joshua going back and forth. There's a lot of people who think he didn't want to fight Anthony Joshua. There's a lot of people who thinks Anthony Joshua didn't want to fight him, right? And I'm one of those. Matter of fact, 2 of my favorite uploaders. I agree with them about 85% of stuff. But when it comes to Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, they like, Wilder didn't ever want to fight him. And, Wilder's the one who was running. I can't really agree with him on that. But, my point is, it was a grown-ass man. We don't agree all the time. A lot of people kind of like, when it comes to Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, well, Anthony Joshua, DAZN offered him $100 million, $100 million, and they would just leave it at that. They offered him $100 million to fight Anthony Joshua. If you leave it like that, then everybody gonna be, well, damn, man, why you didn't fight Anthony Joshua? You wanted to fight him so bad that he offered you $100 million. Now, I could pick that apart real quick. I am real quick, but we ain't gonna just harp on it. But at that point, a whole lot of stuff had happened. There was no more trust in DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. There was a whole lot of stuff. But even that was a 3-fight deal for $100 million, right? And I can remember Deontay's point was, after not trusting these guys for all the other lead up, that was at the end. After not trusting these guys, he was like, well, yeah, well, what is Joshua making? And that was very important because at that point, after trying to, take less from Anthony Joshua, the whole negotiations, he was like, at this point, not from y'all, right? Not from y'all. And what is he making? Because sounds good. If Anthony Joshua was making $100 million too for 3 fights, then okay. But if he's making $200 million, then the hell with that, right? Now, you guys just omit the fact that Joshua asked for $50 million, and then he got it, And that was just $50 million for one fight, right? Plus, that's without the pay-per-view on top. The problem they had with that is that Deontay Wilder was going to get $50 million too, right? Right? So that was the problem. And that was coming from Showtime and Shelly Finkel. And they start saying, well, where's that money? We don't know if the money is good. All that happened before. Matter of fact, the very first thing that happened, Deontay Wilder said, hey, I come to England and you get 60, I get 40. Isn't that okay? No, they were trying to tell him, you only going to get 15 million. I get 85 million. You get 15 million. This is what they was telling Deontay Wilder. You know what happened? Deontay Wilder said yes to that too. Right? In September 2000, I think 18 or so, at Wembley. You know what they told Deontay Wilder? We can't get Wembley in September from 2018, right? You know what they did? They fought Povetkin in Wembley. And the same time they told Deontay Wilder they didn't. Those are things that people just ain't going to omit. If you have to go from the beginning of negotiations to all that 100 million, Deontay Wilder got 100 million stuff, and then ask somebody who wanted to fight, right? Matter of fact, let's just look at the body language. Let's just look at the interviews. Have you ever heard Anthony Joshua say, Wilder, come to England, I beat your ass? Do you have just that? Just that. Have you ever heard that? Ever? Right? So, whatever. So we don't want to go there. But Wilder does divide people. You all right? So, but anyway, speaking of Joshua, I think Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, even though the fight's not what it used to be, but it's still a fight between two dudes who knock people out or get knocked out. Isn't it? Everybody say they like knockouts. If you don't like that fight, something wrong with you. If you're English or American, New Russian, or whatever you want to be, you like two heavyweights that will try to knock each other out. I think, personally, that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua could still have two fights. I think they could still have two fights. The only thing that will happen if they have the first fight is that one has to be close. If it's close, kind of close, then they'll have a second fight. If somebody get knocked out early, then they probably won't. That's how I see it. Now, I think they should have it now. Anthony Joshua is recovering from injury. Most people think he's better than Deontay Wilder, right? That's what you think. So, and Wilder has, haven't been looked lackluster. Also recovering from an injury. Only, excuse me, Tyrell Herndon, man, I ain't coming at you like that, but this is how boxing, they talk about everybody like nobody's nothing. That's how they just do, And they say, well, only Herndon, so he ain't really fought nobody, right? So he's not really in form. So both of them have a fight to get in form, and then do some other stuff, and then fight again. So we can finally get the fight and find out who's the best between these two cats. I would be okay. I'd be up for it, right? They're getting older, and it's getting to the point where nobody gives a damn. So y'all better go and catch it, get it while the getting is good, and let's see what's happening. Because all that heavyweight championship stuff, neither one of them deserve it. You know what I mean? You don't. Do some stuff first. No matter what your names used to be. You didn't fight, you dropped the ball. When it was time, ain't nobody give a damn. Yeah, no, it's other people that's deserving of fights. The Joseph Parkers, the Agate Kabayals, and stuff like that. They deserve heavyweight championship fights right now. So neither Wilder or Joshua deserves that. But I tell you what, if these dudes get together and fight for real, their lead up would be awesome. They fight once in America, once in England, and boom, it's on and popping. And the winner will be right back up in the mix. What y'all think about that? I say Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua twice, and let's go and get it on. Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.